What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Brandon Coin's YouTube channel. So we're back in the computer shop today, and I just had a customer drop off a computer that I actually put together for him a long time ago. It's been, I think, like 4 or 5 years now, and he said he's been using it a bunch, and then all of a sudden, within the last couple months, it started acting up, and now it won't stay running. That is his diagnosis. So this was pretty much a budget build back then, and I told him it probably doesn't hold up very well with today's like modern games, but he doesn't play a lot of crazy stuff on it, and he's like, I just want to get it back up and running. And I'm like, well, we can take a look at that and we can do it. So let me flip my camera around and see what we're working with. Ooh, it already looks a little saggy. The GPU's sagging. All right, so it is an Intel motherboard. Looks like it's got 2 sticks of RAM in it. What are we working with? 2 4-gig sticks of DDR3. So yeah, I had a feeling this was an older Intel board. I think this has probably got like an older i5 or something in it, because that was really popular about 3 or 4 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago now, when I built this one. It's got a 570 that looks like it's got a serious amount of flex. Wonder if that's, wonder if it's getting any issues from that. That's a lot of flex. Like, I don't know. Anyway, it's really dirty. Took the side glass off. It's one of those old Raid Max cases that have like light up fans behind this black tinted screen. Okay, well, let's get down to business. Let's get this bad boy plugged in. Start off with HDMI. Now we need power. It's hard to do with one hand. Leave that off. Plug that in. Turn it on. All right, so it's powering up. It's a good sign. We have display. Yeah, he says he plays it for a while and then it just cuts off. So I'm wondering if we're having like a GPU issue, we're losing monitor, if he's having a Windows problem. Well, I will let this load and I'll be back, because this might take a while. All right, so I ended up giving him a call because I was just like, what is going on with this system? And I also need your password if you want me to log into your Windows and like check it out. And he was like, okay, here's my password and here's how you get it to have a problem. He was like, go ahead and launch Call of Duty. And I'm like, okay. So I go in, I click on Call of Duty, and then it blue screens. I'm like, so that's it, just cutting off? And he's like, yeah, just blue screens and then I gotta cut it off. And I'm like, okay. I'm gonna start off with a Windows reflash and then go from there, because you haven't like reinstalled Windows in what, 4 or 5 years, and there's no telling if drivers are happy or all kinds of stuff. And that's just the easiest, like quickest way to get you back up and going. Is there anything that you care about on this Windows install? He's like, nope, as long as I can reinstall all my games and stuff. And I was like, do you know your logins? He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay, well then you're good. Let me go ahead and wipe this thing, put a new copy of Windows on it. I'll run some benchmarks, you know, some Cinebench, maybe put Heaven on it, and just make sure everything's happy. Put the drivers on, and then you should be good to go. So Right now I am in the BIOS, and come to find out, I was wrong. This is not a 3rd gen or a 4th gen. I was thinking it was like a 3440 or 3470 or something i5. This is a 2nd gen i5 2500, and I'm actually surprised that he's playing Call of Duty on it. And I asked him, I was like, how does this thing play? And he's like, it does pretty good. Like, I can hold about like 60 FPS. And I'm like, on an RX 570 4 gig. And he's like, yeah, but I have all the settings cranked down. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? If you're happy, I'm happy. Let's get this thing back up and running for you. So yeah, I'm about to boot it from the USB, and hopefully that'll be it. So just stay tuned. Be right back. Fun fact on some of these older Intel boards, they have something called USB optimization. If that is enabled, your USB devices will not work while it's posting and booting. They will only work after post. So that's a little annoying, because how do you get into booting from a USB or even using a USB keyboard to get into BIOS? So what I did to get into BIOS is I unplugged the boot drive, so that way I could get into BIOS and turn off USB optimization, and then you can then turn USB boot on. So this is only an older BIOS thing. Like newer stuff doesn't have this, but yeah, USB optimization, if enabled, USB devices, keyboards, and drives will not be available until after OS boot, but BIOS will boot faster. This feature does not affect USB capabilities after OS boot. This is like a horrible optimization, in my opinion. But yeah, so if you've ever had an older system that you can't get into BIOS, like it's like, oh, press F2 or delete to get into BIOS, you're smacking your keyboard, that might be why. So figured I would let you guys know about that. Anyway, let's get this bad boy running. All right, now it is the following day. I ran R15 Cinebench, an older Cinebench on it, updated all the drivers, and I let it run overnight, because he told me that even just sitting at the desktop, it would not run for longer than like 30 to 45 minutes. So I just gave him a call. I was like, well, I think it's ready for you to pick up. Go ahead and install your games and see how it runs. So I'm gonna clean up some of this gunk and crud and get the side panel back on, and hopefully we have a happy fixed customer. I told him whenever he's ready, we can upgrade him, because this i5 2500 and this 574 gig is definitely lacking. But he said that it was still working fine for him up until it started doing the randomly cutting off thing, or blue screening. So yeah, I guess that is what it is at that point. But anyway, guys, I will see you on the next one. And if you enjoy this kind of stuff, just let me know down below in the comments, because we get a little bit of it. All right, later.